Do you have any kind of like special project that you do here or a favorite part of your job?
We do have right now, well, it's been probably 5 years now, we've been doing a habitat restoration program, and we're trying to revive our grasslands. And so I've spearheaded that, trying to figure out, all the things we should be doing to restore our grasslands and trying to find money to do that, which is always a challenge. And basically we've been removing an invasive bush. It's actually, we have two kinds up here. It's autumn olive and Russian olive. And somewhere in the 70s, the DEC recommended to farmers that they plant this invasive, especially on hills for erosion control, but also for habitat. And it happens to be a bush that takes over, like many invasives, takes over and changes the landscape. So we had a nice little grassland when I first started at Tanglewood, and that sort of bush has taken over. So we've been taking down those bushes one at a time with labor, from volunteers, and using pretty much chainsaws and rented chippers and things like that. A couple years ago, I did manage to get a grant through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for their Partners in Nature program, and they let us borrow or use a really cool machine that's like a bobcat with this spinning drum that has all these, like, I don't know, cutting blades on it, and you just drive through one of those things and it turns it into like toothpicks. So easy. So we had that for a week and made a lot of progress. And the reason that we're doing it is because we have a bird that is in 98% decline, a grassland bird called the grasshopper sparrow. And they actually nest here at Tanglewood, and they have, but their habitat was, they don't like more than 30% shrub cover, I think, and it was way more than that. So we had to get rid of all that so they stay. And then I'm trying to, we used to have other grassland birds, bobolinks, meadowlarks, and right across the hill there's vesper sparrows. So I'm trying to make their habitat, the habitat, so that we get all those grassland birds back. So that's been kind of a fun project since I'm a birdie person.
So now that you're trying to get like all the habitats back and the birds to come back, what do you use Tanglewood do anything else with like endangered species?
Well, we don't. We have, well, in fact, we have a couple endangered species that threatened, the timber rattlesnake, threatened in this portion and endangered in other parts of the state. But and then we also, because we did the habitat restoration program, we found, and our college professor found actually, a endangered grass, which is so not sexy. I know, it's an endangered grass, woo, but it's needle-tip blue-eye grass, which is found in disturbed areas, and we actually, it appeared after our little habitat restoration program, which is kind of neat. So that's one of our claims to fame. And also, again, the timber rattlesnake. And so we don't really do anything active with the rattlesnake other than try to educate. Mm-hmm. And we do spend, some time we have about 17,000 kids that we see every year for our school programs. And we, if the opportunity arises, if somebody asks, we have lots of signs about the timber rattlesnake. We have a live timber rattlesnake on display. We talk about timber rattlesnake in this area. We talk about their behavior. We talk about their importance in the food web and the ecosystem. We try to dispel fears, teach respect. A lot of people, when they think they see a rattlesnake, the first thing they want to do, if you don't run, you want to kill it. So, we try to talk about how that's not a wise or kind choice. And, we happen to be lucky if we have a venomous snake in this area. We're lucky that it's actually a very docile type of snake. I mean, there's other rattlesnakes that are much more aggressive, naturally aggressive. But this is a very docile. The timber rattlesnake will avoid you if at all costs, and if it has the choice, it's either going to sit really still or it's going to move away if it sees you. So we just try to educate people about, why, even though something that you fear has a place in nature, and you know, to not automatically want to kill something that you're afraid of.
What do you think is the best way for people to actually help, like either with the animals or the plants, if they're starting to become endangered or threatened?
Well, I think, you know, the first step is basically what we try to do, is to educate, so that you know, people know how things become endangered, and you know, and what individuals can do. As you know, if you're an adult and you have children, you should be teaching them to be respectful. You should take them outside. Kids don't get outside enough. And I think once you give people the feeling, if somebody has seen something, whether it's a grass or a rattlesnake or, you know, a turtle, if they see it, if they can get close to it, and then that's the first step to caring about it. And once you care about something, then you want to help protect it. And whether it's legislation, you know, you talk to your senators or your representatives about, you know, what they should be, laws should be in place to help protect, you know, endangered species. You know, join groups like Tanglewood, be members of Tanglewood. I mean, it's not that expensive every year to be a member of Tanglewood, but you're actually helping us to get the word out to a larger audience. Join the Nature Conservancy, other environmental groups that are responsible, that actually do things that, you know, that under their umbrella, you can do more by supporting them than you can do as an individual. So, but I mean, individuals have made a huge difference, obviously, in environmental movements. Rachel Carson, for one, she's a hero, and you know. So there's things you can do as individuals, but there's places you can support that do bigger things that help too.
What is your biggest pet peeve, and I mean, environmentally related? What's just like your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think it's probably when people do, their first instinct is to harm rather than figure out what they're dealing with, and then, you know, for example, we get a lot of people calling, asking for help with, you know, animals that are either like bees in their, a bee swarm in the tree. You know, my first instinct is to get rid of it, instead of understand, you know, why do bees swarm, and you find out that they're swarming because their hive was overpopulated. Wherever the queen lands, all the other worker bees follow her and land, and that's when they're at their most calm ever. So if you, rather than say, okay, how can I get rid of this thing, educate yourself. I mean, we have the internet. There's nothing that you can't find out on the internet now, so there's really no excuse. I've had people bring in half-dead snakes in a bag and say, I saw this snake, I think it's a rattlesnake, I chopped it with I was doing gardening, I chopped it with my hoe or my shovel or whatever, and I wanted to bring it in. And, you know, never has it been a rattlesnake, first of all, because they are endangered and or threatened, so there aren't that many of them. It's usually a milk snake or a corn, some sort of, you know, non-venomous but very useful snake. Same thing with spiders, and I don't know, it's just people, their first reaction is of a lot of nature is fear, and that's really a base instinct that we need to overcome as hopefully supposed to be more developed animals on Earth. Try to, you know, override those innate instincts that are useful, have been useful over time, but are less useful as time goes on and when it comes to nature. Because nature has become for some reason, it's become a scary place. People aren't afraid of being in the middle of a big city, most people, where you're much more likely to have something bad happen to you, but people are afraid to let their kids play outside because they might be bitten by a snake, or I don't know, fall down tripping over a rock or something. I don't know. So the pet peeves are the fears that are based on not on the true information.